Hello, my name is Jim, and I bought a Planta greenhouse Sungrow 32. It's the largest structure that they offer, and I thought I would have a video here where I would go over, zoom in on the details of how to put it together. As you look at the structure all put together, you can tell that a lot of the parts are constructed in a similar fashion. For most of the parts, the head of the screw, head of the bolt, is facing the outside where you're going to put the polycarbonate panels, and the only difference for that would be when a bolt goes through the bottom of the structure, then the head of the bolt is on the bottom, and where the nut goes is sheltered by the groove in the thing. So I thought I'd just go around to each of the areas and show you exactly how the connections ended up being. So we start with the door side of the panel, where you have a wing that's attached here that the main door overhead goes on. That looks like that. And then the downside of the doors are attached like that. And here I've already put on the door, but the same sort of thing goes. Down here, the cross beam connection is there, and another wing is attached to connect the other side along the curve. Down here at the bottom, you have yet another wing, an attached bar, and then this is I'm using the footing instead of a wood foundation base, and that's how this strap goes on this thing with the footing. And then again, all of the bolts the heads are on this side, unless it's in the middle, and then it's on the other side. And that's the connection down here. This is the threshold to the door that you would step over when it's done. And there's some areas that are attached to multiple things at the same time instead of just two things. Here, this one comes in, this one comes down, and this comes up. So this bolt here is tied to three different pieces of metal instead of two. The other side is similar. You have a wing attaching it here, and then you have all these bolts. These are, when you're getting to the point where you put the plates on for the door, these are flat head bolts instead of the rounded ones. All right, going back around, we come to one of the arches. So it's connected. Again, these things are added later once you do all the arches. I actually only needed help with the first panel connecting this the door frame to one of the mid frames. After that, I could pretty much do this myself, standing up one of the mid frames and then attaching this crossbar going all the way around, and then coming back to do the ones along the bottom and the 4 that are up on the top, and then on the other side. So you can do it by yourself. I'm in my mid 60s. This took me about maybe 80 hours worth of work to get all this stuff done. A little bit on the ladder when you're connecting these upper frames here. But anyway, so the midsection, same sort of thing. You've got both heads on the outside for all those connections. On the interior part, as I go inside, you can see that the same thing holds, even though these bolts are not exposed to the panels. The same approach works, where the rounded head is on the side that would be facing out, and the bolts are on the inside. So this is one of the cross braces. Get in here tight where you can see these things. The part of the brace is flipping up, and then on the other side of the brace it's flipping down. So the same thing holds there. All these things are put together. Now, a tip I got is, when I was building this brace, I've got back issues. So what I did was I put a whole bunch of Costco black and yellow totes together too high, and then laid the structure onto those totes. And then I was working off of a little stool that ended up being helpful for staying, all the work being at sort of height, so I didn't have to be bending over. All right, up here, same sort of thing, except for on this brace, both pieces are flipping out. And so we've got the bolts here. Again, the rounded head is on this side. This one I might have done opposite for no good reason. So this probably should have been flipped over on the other side, but it doesn't really matter because nothing's really going on here. And down here, these braces, as you look along the path here, a lot of people are putting like boards here to form shelves. So you can do that. But the upper part of the frame looks like that, with some of those bolts on the bottom, because it's the opposite side of the nut is in the channel. So this cross thing has got 2 braces like that. I put these pieces on last. So I formed these 2 pieces together with this, and then built this, put this onto that. And that's down here, the same thing. This connection here ultimately is going to be another place where there's 3 pieces of metal. If I can get out here. So when I put these bars on last, I had to take these 2 screws off, because this screw was already on the footing, and this screw was already connected to the arch brace. And so I had to take these off when I put this on. And it was, as long as you don't take them all off, it works. Just do 2 at a time, and then you move on to the other 2 after you replace them back. So one other tip is, when I got my package of bolts, the ones that they use are the most common, they had it mixed in there. They had the longer bolts that you'll need and when you get to the construction of the door and the window. For these bolts here, they're longer bolts, but they were not in a separate package. They were packaged together with the smaller bolts. These are like, I think, M10s, and these are like M14s. They're just longer. So the higher the number, the longer the bolt is. But they use the same nut, which is a M10 nut. And that's about it for this. You could put shelving up here to store rakes and stuff like that. I mean flat wood. This structure is pretty heavy duty once you get it all done. I actually didn't dig these holes until after I had the whole structure done, because I've got a really sloped 32 feet, and it's kind of hilly, and so it was really uneven. So I did all the structure first, then started digging the holes before I put my polycarbonate on, because I didn't want the polycarbonate to shift around as I was moving the structure. Because as you dig these holes, you just basically got to go around, dig these holes, and then make a return trip to sort of get it down to the right level, and then start to individually look at whether or not you've got them all aligned properly, and then dig a little bit further to maybe even out some unevenness in the footings. So that's it for that. I think I've covered all of the different arrangements of the bolts and nuts. Again, you can do it by yourself. If you wanted to lean the door piece against a table and then take the first arch and connect it to it and then bring it up, you could do that. You could do it, but I had help just with that first piece, with the two connections. But the rest of it, I did by myself. And I look forward to dealing with the polycarbonate. And then I bought 8 windows to go up here. They come in separate kits, and you put the polycarbonate panels on there, and then you cut into the panels. It doesn't have to be exact, because the windows have a lot of extra room where they have the very same overlap as like with the doors up here in the windows, where you've got the polycarbonate only comes down to like maybe there, and the rest of this comes down like a whole nother inch. So there's a lot of room to have the water cascade off. The same thing with the windows. There's a lot of, the polycarbonate doesn't have to be a perfect fit, because you got this piece that's going to go over it for the windows. And so the backside where this polycarbonate actually is stops. It could be there, it could be farther down. So it's you don't have to be perfect when you're cutting the windows out of these panels. So hope that answers all your questions. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments and I'll try to get to them. Thanks.